This is the Uptick Newswire Stock Day podcast, sponsored by InvestorsHangout.com. Subscribe to us on iTunes and YouTube to stay up to date on penny stock news and interviews, public information on OTC, pink sheets, and microcap stocks from around the world, with your host, Everett Jolly.
On today's show, I'm bringing you a brand new company that I discovered about 2 or 3 months ago. And I tell you what, I think they're onto something here. I'm a fan of the concept. We're talking about Lingerie Fighting Championships Inc. And you guessed it, what their ticker symbol is, BOTY, B-O-T-Y. You can find them on the OTC markets. And with us today is the chairman and CEO of the company. We're very fortunate to have him on the show, Mr. Shaun Donnelly. Shaun, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me.
How did you come up with this concept? And before you answer that, just give us a little bit of a back history of yourself.
Well, I'm a TV producer and filmmaker. And the way I started Lingerie Fighting Championships, I was actually doing a weekly MMA show called Friday Night Fights. And, you know, as part of that, of course, seeing a lot of MMA, visiting a lot of cities and checking out local fights. We were sort of everything from UFC, Bellator down, so the grassroots stuff. Certainly was seeing a lot of women's MMA. And, you know, one thing I noticed is, you know, it's very violent, very, you know, I don't like seeing women get hurt. So I kind of came up with this idea of, you know, what if we created, you know, lingerie fighting championships where it's, you know, girls who look like the ring girls fighting, you know, not as serious fights as you see in UFC, so the girls aren't trying to kill each other, but still extremely entertaining and visual, and that's how I created Lingerie Fighting Championships back in 2013.
I love the concept. That being said, so tell us, how many events do you have on the books for scheduling for 2019?
We have 6 already booked, all in Las Vegas, and then we're in talks right now for potentially 2 more, 2 larger casino shows. In
Las Vegas, your go-to place is called the Nerd. Why that venue? What's so special about that?
Well, the Nerd, it's a really cool bar right downtown on Fremont, and it just happens to be probably the only bar in town that has an MMA cage permanently installed.
You know, when you're a garage band and you start getting good and you're playing out and then you're playing local, you want to take it to the next step. What steps are you guys taking to have a larger audience for 2019?
Well, we're kind of a funny thing in that we bounce back and forth. You know, like we've done events at the Hard Rock where we outsold the room they had us, so they put us into the joint. So we do really big shows like that. You know, we had 5,000 fans to a show in Europe when we went to Bratislava. The reason for the bar shows, which is obviously a much smaller venue, is we wanted to do kind of a series of events under the Booty Camp brand where we introduce new characters. So it's a way to bring in several new characters in kind of a smaller, more informal setting, a little less intimidating for them, and see which ones we want to take on to the main show.
If there's girls listening to this and they want to become a part of this lingerie conference wrestling thing, how do they get in touch with you, and who do you accept, or are you accepting any new applications?
Yeah, we're always looking for new fighters, especially with this Booty Camp premise where it's all new fighters versus our established fighters. All they have to do is go to our site at lingeriefc.com, and there's information there on how to sign up.
My guest today is Shaun Donnelly. He is the CEO and chairman and interim CFO. We're talking about the company of Lingerie Fighting Championships Inc. They trade on the OTC markets under the ticker symbol BOTY. I noticed that your company was awarded recently award on YouTube. I know that when I looked on there, I couldn't believe how many hits you guys were getting. I think one said 20 or 30 million. That's crazy.
Yeah, we've done really well on social media. So YouTube had sent us the silver play button, which a company gets for reaching 100,000 subscribers. We're actually at 140,000 right now, and over 35 million views, which includes our LFC 20 sizzle reel. That's the show we did at the Hard Rock. That now has over 20 million views, which, you know, to put it in context, the UFC, as mighty and powerful as they are, have only had 2 videos with more views than us.
So as a YouTube member, you're probably making some money off the advertising of your videos, correct?
We do. We make some money there. We've recently signed a deal where we're going to be using someone else's player, and they're going to be pushing advertising to it. One thing we've had with some of our most popular videos, including the one I mentioned with the 20 million views, they use commercial music. So a lot of the monetization actually goes to the artist. Now these are artists that we've licensed specifically for our shows. They're entrance music for the fighters, but it certainly impacts how we monetize on YouTube, and we want to do a better job of that moving forward.
In closing, is there anything that we didn't get a chance to touch upon that you would like to illustrate to your investors and my listeners?
Well, we have. There's going to be a lot of announcements coming out. With the announcement of these 6 shows, we've suddenly been getting a lot more interest from networks all over the world. One thing that I think prevented us from doing that in the past was simply that we were doing shows too infrequently, and that's something I really made a commitment to changing this year. So, like I said, at least 6 events and possibly as many as 8 this year.
If you're looking for a development stage media company, look no further than Lingerie Fighting Championship. I think this is going to catch on. I think it's going to spread here in the next 9 to 18 months. You can find them on the OTC markets under the ticker symbol BOTY. And our guest today has been Shaun Donnelly. Shaun, thank you so much for coming on the show. I'm a fan of what you're doing out there. Hopefully you become a regular, come on every 40 or 50 days and give us an update of what's going on.
I'd enjoy that. Thank you very much for having me.
This program is entirely sponsored and produced by Uptick Newswire LLC, which is responsible for the content. The opinions and information provided on this program are those of the guests and those of the respective companies they represent, and do not necessarily reflect those of the staff or management of Uptick Newswire. Uptick Newswire encourages all listeners of this program to do their due diligence and research when determining investment strategies that will work for them, or to seek the assistance of an investment professional. The guests of this program may have paid for its distribution and are not directly affiliated with Uptick Newswire or the station.